right, welcome back to Myrna and Jenn Read the Apocrypha.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming back. I know we get kind of crazy when we say some things. We don't,
Kind of. I think it's our MO at this point, Myrna.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we just kind of get off the wrong track, but I think we're okay. I think we're still on the covenant path. But I think that we like to go to the weeds. We like to have the discussions that happen in the weeds. So today we are reading chapter 17 of the Book of Jubilees. So we're coming close to being halfway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're coming close to being halfway of Jubilees. There's 50 chapters. So, but we're so glad you're here. And if you like us, please hit the like button and subscribe and come back and hear some more. And comment. Let's have some discussions. I know that sometimes can be a little scary, but we haven't bit anybody lately. So go ahead and comment, and I think we'll be really nice to you.
100%.
Let us know if we said something wrong, because we want to try and get this right to as much knowledge as we have.
We don't have any egos in this.
No. And we're not scholars. We're just kind of sharing what this does to our brains.
Yes, 100%.
Is all. So thanks for coming. Hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go on and do chapter 17.
Isaac.
Abraham and Sarah have got their new names. They're now, Sarah's pregnant. She's had Isaac. And we still have Ishmael and Hagar hanging around. So let's see what happens now. Okay. In the first year of the 5th week, Isaac was weaned in this Jubilee. And Abraham made a great banquet in the 3rd month, on the day his son Isaac was weaned. And Ishmael, the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, was before the face of Abraham, his father, in his place. And Abraham rejoiced and blessed God because he had seen his sons and not died childless. And he remembered the words which he had spoken to him on the day on which Lot had parted from him. And he rejoiced because the Lord had given him seed upon the earth to inherit the earth. And he blessed with all his mouth the creator of all things. So we're having a good little family party.
Big party for Isaac being weaned. I find that interesting. I would not have thought, let's have a party for the baby being weaned. That's not on the list of traditional parties to throw.
I wouldn't think so, but
apparently
we're learning a lot of new things about.
I know things to celebrate,
time, right?
Things to celebrate.
Yeah. So we've got Isaac, we've got Ishmael. Isaac is from Sarah, and Ishmael is from Hagar, which is now Abraham's maidservant. Used to be Sarah's, but she gave her to Abraham. Okay, so we're all together in this little family, having a little party.
And and Abraham's all excited that he didn't die childless.
I can understand that.
I know you can.
I can understand that. It'd be nice to have a child, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So 4. And Sarah saw Ishmael playing and dancing, and Abraham rejoicing with great joy. Oh, and she became jealous of Ishmael and said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman will not be heir with my son Isaac." And the thing was grievous in Abraham's sight because of his maidservant and because of his son, that he should drive them from him. And God said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in thy sight, because of the child and because of the bondwoman, in all that Sarah hath said unto thee. Hearken to her words and do them, for in Isaac shall thy name and thy seed be called."
All right. This is one of those times
Yep.
where I look and I say, I don't understand God at all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think we put boundaries on him that we think he would fit in.
Right.
But when you look at this, he doesn't fit in any of the boundaries that I would think he would fit in with this statement.
Correct.
Because it sounds harsh, it sounds mean, and I don't know that I would do that to any of my children.
Right.
Right. So it makes you wonder a little bit about the way we actually see God.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep putting boundaries on him, and we keep saying he would do this and he would do that. In reality, I don't really think we know what God would do, because I don't think we would ever pick this space for God to be in.
I'm going to agree with you. In this one, I find it interesting that the reason why Sarah was unhappy is because she was jealous.
Right.
He's rejoicing and having a good time with his son Ishmael. And she's like, wait a second. I don't want my son supposed to be the heir.
Mm-hmm.
And that means she needs to leave with Ishmael. God is not saying here that, I mean, there's no sentence here of shame, shame, shame on you, Sarah, for being jealous.
Right.
He's
Which
saying,
is what we always say, right?
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 Right? There's no condemnation of any sort, at least in this writing here, that Sarah is in trouble for her jealousy.
Well, it's not in the Bible either. It's not
in the Bible either. It is instead him saying, go ahead and listen to her. It's a good decision. Why? You're throwing your child out.
Which is interesting to me, because Adam listened to his wife.
Yeah.
And he was told he shouldn't listen to his wife.
Right.
And here Abraham's being told, listen to your wife.
Your wife. And he's like, yes.
So I don't know that we can ever say this is what God would do.
I'm going to agree with you. God is mysterious in the ways that he makes his choices.
Yes.
His ways literally are not our ways. Oh, no. Lord. No.
Because I would not have thought that this would be okay with God.
Okay.
And I think that he would have gotten mad at Sarah and said, why are you being jealous?
Right.
What can't you just know that I love you and that you are enough and you're seen and you're heard? All these words we hear nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. You're seen and you're heard. Yep. Why is that not enough for you?
Well, and I'm going to take this into the weeds. We're going to start early here. It's only a few minutes in. But could this be a part in the scriptures that parents and people use to say, like in the LGBT community, a lot of people take their kids and throw them out of the house?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because of their fears and ideas and reasoning or jealousy or... Okay, so you could use this moment to say, well, God did that to Hagar and Ishmael.
Absolutely. You could justify that.
You could easily
use it to justify it. Absolutely.
And so I think that is part of the thing when it comes to scriptures and saying, well, that's what God would do. He does a lot of things that confuse me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to stop imposing what we think God would do on God. And we just need to take what he does, ask him why, and learn from it, but not use it to justify any of our actions unless we have received some revelation to say, yes, that is, you should do the same thing.
Right.
Because I think that can get us. I think that can get us into trouble.
In a lot of trouble, because I would not have expected him to just be like, yes, throw her out. You're throwing a single woman and her child out of your little, it's not very little. I mean, there's like 300-400 people, 500 people there.
Oh, there's more than that.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's like
There's at
he has
least
some.
3,000 men, right?
Oh, that's right. It was there.
3,000 something men.
Something in there. Well, no, it was like 318 men went off to fight, but there have to be at least somewhere in there of
Somewhere we read there was 3,000 something men.
yeah, something in there. So
Mhm.
wow, like, and it's you live in the desert. So okay, that's a choice. And we know that in our day and age, that conflict between those two peoples still exists.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, that's lasted a while, thousands of years. Okay.
Mhm.
All because of her throwing him out. Or
I
Abraham
mean,
throwing them out.
you can also say something. You can also use it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You can also say that God was okay with him throwing her out because God didn't tell him to take her and have a child with him.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
It was not, that relationship was not condoned by God.
You could say that.
So you can use it even for that kind of things, like saying, you know, your spouse sleeps with somebody. It's okay to just, you know, not
Toss
have
them
anything
out.
to do with that child if it comes from that relationship.
Right?
You don't need to have any responsibility on that child because look what God told Abraham
to do. Mm-hmm.
Right? There's so many things that we could use this to justify our actions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we need to be careful of taking different stories in the scriptures and making a justification in our actions. Instead, I think we need to get down on our hands and knees and ask Heavenly Father, what should I do?
Mm-hmm.
What should I do in this situation? Not what did you do, or not what did Abraham and Sarah do, but what should I do in this situation? Please help me.
Yes. Very different question.
Yes. Anyway, okay, should we go on?
Yes, we should go on.
Okay.
7.
Okay, but as for the son of this bondwoman, I will make him a great nation because he is of thy seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and placed them on the shoulders of Hagar and the child and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the bottle was spent, and the child thirsted and was not able to go on and fell down.
All right.
I would not have seen God doing this.
No. And it's that conflict a little too. Like, by the way, because he is of Abraham's seed, he's going to be father of a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm also sending you out into the desert with some water and some bread, and you're going to collapse and fall down and have a problem.
Well, also there's a little bit of faith on Abraham's space, because he is trusting that God will live up to what he said, that they will not perish. Right?
Correct.
A seed will, a nation will come from his seed because he will not perish. So Abraham is trusting and is exercising a little bit of faith here, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I agree. And it's a heartbroken father. He's been raising this child.
Yes.
He's been in his household, and now he has to move that bond off.
Yeah, he has a relationship with this child.
Right. And it's not like there was mail being posted everywhere. It's not like today where he could stay in contact. Like, I'm going to text him. No, it was, you're being put out and good luck. But I have faith that it will turn out the way because God keeps his promises.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way he could possibly fully do this is because he had the promise.
Yeah, I agree. It would be super hard.
And I'm feeling bad for Hagar because wandering in the desert, I live in a desert area, not fun.
No.
Okay. And his mother took him and cast him under an olive tree and went and sat her down over against him at the distance of a bow shot. For she said, "Let me not see the death of my child." And as she sat, she wept. And an angel of God, one of the holy ones, said unto her, "Why weepest thou, Hagar? Arise, take the child, and hold him in thine hand, for God hath heard thy voice and hath seen the child." And she opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled her bottle with water, and she gave her child to drink, and she arose and went towards the wilderness of Paran. Okay.
So God stepped in,
He stepped in to keep his promise.
right, to keep his promise.
That baby can't die.
Right.
And she's in the middle of the wilderness with no help.
Yeah.
I can't watch my child die. God, you had Abraham send me out. I don't know what Abraham told her, but she knows she's being sent away with her son. I can't watch him die. And the Lord's like, well, you need water here. And again, this is one of those stories that you're like, well, then God's made me promises, and what? I can't die? Like he'll have an angel step in and help me? I haven't had that experience in that way. And okay. Like again, he's keeping his promise. God's keeping his promise and doing this for them. And he's going to extreme measures where he doesn't go to extreme measures for everyone, or lots of people would have cancer healed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And there's another spot of God that we don't understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we can't see the future. He can see the future.
Yep.
And he knows what's best for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have to exercise our faith.
I will say one last tidbit. I find it interesting that most of the time when someone sees an angel, the angel always just really starts off asking questions.
Yeah.
Like with Moroni, and there are questions that happen. Nephi, look and see. Like they start off with something. What seest thou? Or describe this. They always are asking questions, and I find that interesting for angels. I don't know why.
Well, I think they want to know what you're thinking
in the moment.
At that moment, and where they are to go to accomplish
what the Lord has.
Which way to go to accomplish what they need to accomplish. But yeah.
Anyways,
you're right.
Just a tidbit that I've been recognizing. They start with questions. So, yay, Ishmael's going to live, and they're going towards Paran.
Paran, yeah.
I'm going to look up really quick while you're reading what Paran is.
Okay. And the child grew and became an archer, and God was with him, and his mother took him a wife, from among the daughters of Egypt. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Nibonath. For she said, the Lord was nigh to me when I called upon him. And it came to pass in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, in the 1st month of this Jubilee, on the 12th of this month, there were voices in heaven regarding Abraham, that he was faithful in all that he told him, and that he loved the Lord, and that in every affliction he was faithful. I like that because it tells us that the heavens rejoice when we are faithful, when we're obedient.
So his mom's Egyptian, Hagar's Egyptian, and he ended up taking a wife that was Egyptian.
Right.
And he had a kid. So here it starts, right?
Yeah. I can't say the kid's name.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love that this kind of I love that because that when it says that the heavens rejoiced because he was
Yes.
faithful. I love that, because that maybe when I'm doing good things, they're up there cheering me on too.
I would think they are. In
Me
fact, I
too.
think everyone's rejoicing when anyone on this earth, especially in these latter days,
Yeah.
that anyone's doing good things and thinking of their fellow man and being faithful to God in things. I think he's like, oh, you go, kid. Like, you are doing something big here by doing that. And by the
Yeah.
way, Paran is
Mhm.
the name of a desert in the Sinai Peninsula that was home
Okay.
to Ishmael, the Israelites, and was a place of refuge actually for David at a point.
Oh, okay.
But it's mentioned from in Genesis, Numbers, Deuteronomy, First Samuel. So it's mentioned here and there as a place.
Okay.
So
Right.
all kind of in that same ish region. So
Yeah.
if you were to see a map and you would see Jerusalem, like
Mhm.
at the top, I'm like looking here if my finger is showing. Here
Mhm.
it goes Jerusalem, and then lower down, kind of at a southwest direction, Jerusalem, Hebron, Beersheba, and then the wilderness of Paran. So it
Okay.
is a bit of a distance,
Okay.
just to kind of give an idea.
Yeah. That's good.
So Abraham was faithful.
Yeah.
And the prince Mastema came and said before God, behold, Abraham loves Isaac his son, and he delights in him above all things else. Bid him offer him as a burnt offering on the altar, and thou wilt see if he will do this command, and thou wilt know if he is faithful in everything wherein thou dost try him. And the Lord knew that Abraham was faithful in all his afflictions, for he had tried him through his country and with famine, and had tried him with wealth of kings, and had tried him again through his wife, when she was torn from him, and with circumcision, and had tried him through Ishmael and Hagar his maidservant, when he sent them away. And in everything wherein he had tried him, he was found faithful, and his soul was not impatient, and he was not slow to act, for he was faithful and a lover of the Lord. All right, so for everyone, Prince Mastema, he was one of the ones that was actually left, like one of the watcher fallen angel people. He was the head one of them.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
10% of them were left on the earth. And so he was the head one. And now I guess he's saying to God, are you sure he will actually be completely faithful to you? And is like kind of having a test. We don't get this part in the Bible. We
No.
just get that God has said to Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. So I find this little part interesting.
Yeah, I do, because I've had a lot of people complain.
Mhm.
Okay, now I just blanked on where it was. In the Bible, you and I read it
Mhm.
when we were talking about Job.
Yes.
That Jesus and Lucifer had a discussion
Yes.
about Job, right? And I had a lot of people say, I don't believe this is true, because God's not going to play around with us.
Right.
Well, what are we here for?
Mhm.
We're here to be tried. We're here to be
Mhm.
tested. However, the Lord and Christ feel we need to be tested and tried.
Right.
So why would that not be an option? This sounds
Right.
like exactly the same thing. Mastima's like going, I threw all of this at him and he's still faithful to you.
Right.
And the Lord's like, yeah, I knew he would be.
Right.
Right. And so again, we're having this discussion about one of his children.
Mhm.
And Massima has a part in this. So why would we not think that there might be times when there would be a council, is the only word I can think of,
Right.
where they would say, they have been true and faithful. They are not yours. They are mine.
Right.
Or, see, you thought he was faithful, but look at this little thing he did. Now
Right.
he's mine.
Yep.
Whatever it is. Because it's not only that we are here to learn and to grow so that we can return. It's also, and sometimes I think we forget about this, it is also a whole nother side that wants us to fail so we can be theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also our Savior saying, no. They're not yours because of this. And they're saying, wait, they're mine because of this. So there is this space where we are being tried and tested because our brother Lucifer still thinks he can win this war.
He does.
And sometimes
Lucifer thinks he can win.
Sometimes I think we forget about it. I've heard people say, I don't think that the Lord would do that. I don't think, again, we're putting boundaries on God and the Lord.
Right.
And saying he wouldn't do that. Well, I'm sorry. You say that that he wouldn't throw someone out? Well, he did, but he saved them and allowed a whole nother nation to be born through that lineage. So he doesn't do it and not back up the person.
Correct.
God is always there. Christ is always there to back them up, even if they allow Mastema to do something.
Mm-hmm.
They're always there to back you up and help you. But I think when we say that we don't believe that would happen, then again, I think we're not thinking with broad enough strokes as to what we are doing here on this earth and what our connection with God is.
Right. Because if you really do read Job, there is a conversation there about him being tested.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to talk about why God would test Job in those ways, that's for God. To me, that's God's place of how he wants to test Job. But the promise always is, at least that we've seen, I will have blessings on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm throwing them out.
Be there. They'll be there to help you through whatever it is.
Yes, because the angel helped him there. They helped Hagar there, and so that her son will have a nation. And if it was possible that it would be, it came from Abraham's seed. So a righteous nation, not an heir to the nation, not an heir for him per se. But
a lineage.
A lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right. Like, can we fully have those moments of God is testing you, but in the overarching scheme of it, he is blessing you too.
Yeah. He's testing you, but he's helping you at the same time. He's like, yeah. It's the same as like, we're going to go through this obstacle course. Okay. So we're going to test you through this obstacle course. But if you need to, I'm right here. I will help push you up over the wall or help you climb down over the. Yeah, there is a helper with us as we go through these tests and these trials in our life. So it's not like they throw you to the wolves and say, I'm testing you, go do it.
Right.
It's I'm testing you, but I'm here.
Yes.
If you need help.
And so to me, that's
like an open book. It's like an open book test.
It is like an open book test. And I think the part of it is, I am here.
Yeah.
I am here. And that's part of the test. Is remembering that in it all, when you can get so focused on it and it's all blinding you, hey, I'm right over here. I'm right over here. And you'll make it through this because I am here.
Right.
So interesting. This story, like, interesting.
Yeah, I again, I keep saying this through reading this Apocrypha, and I get that we can't say every bit of it is true, but I'm seeing God in a different way.
Yes, agreed.
He's not the hellfire and damnation that I perceived through the Old Testament and even
Right.
the New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the all love that you kind of see through the Book of Mormon.
Right.
But what I'm seeing is a man who knows what he knows what's best for his children.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows when to step in and he knows when to not.
Right. And as a parent, that is really hard.
Yeah, and you're going to do it differently for each child.
Right.
And God's going to do it differently, but he still expects you to do the same things.
Mm-hmm.
He still expects you to do so. He's not going to like say it's okay. You don't have to be baptized. It's okay.
Right.
You don't have to go do the temple work.
Right.
It's okay. You don't have to do. He's not going to do that, but he's there to help you get through all of that. Mm-hmm. So it's like an obstacle course, and you have to go through each one of those obstacles. You can't go around it.
Nope.
Right? But he's there to help you through this obstacle course.
Mm-hmm.
But he's willing to throw people out and then keep them alive and save them in order for his plan to come to pass. And I think that we as people want him to be too soft in his need for obedience, that I don't think we see this part of him, and then we say, I don't believe that. I don't believe God would do that. Anyway, I'm building a different picture.
Some new ways of viewing God.
And I'm okay with it.
And his character. And I'm okay with it too. I want to understand my God.
Mm-hmm.
Will I ever fully understand him? No, because I don't understand because I don't have the ability to see into the future in the way he does.
Right.
So this in this moment apparently was the right action to take for what, 1,000 years down the road?
Yeah.
2,000 years down the road? Like, I don't have that sight. So, but I do have this moment in my life, and I do have the ability to know he is by me no matter what.
And I think it's, when I think of Hagar in the desert, I think it's amazing that God sent an angel to commune with her, because it was also a way for him to say, it was okay if Abraham did that because I'm here. Right? She believes in God too. This was a testimony for her that God is there. You know, it's not a testimony to say that Abraham was okay in what he did, but it was a testimony in saying, I am here and I will watch over and protect you. So it was a way of telling her that that God does exist. I am here. I do exist. And I will take care of you.
And the other thing that just came to my mind is the angel came, comforted her that her child, she didn't need to watch her child die. And a well appears. So now there's a well. And she filled her bottle, and I assume they drank from it. She still had to walk to Paran. Did she magically get transported there? No. She still had a journey ahead of her. But the Lord, God knew exactly what she needed to end up getting there.
Right.
And that's what she needed. And it seems similar to some of the pioneer stories.
Yeah.
We were starving and famine, and there was beef jerky that I was able to collect that helped sustain me through that moment. Okay. Did it happen for everyone? No.
Right.
But it happened for you, and it was just enough of what you needed to get you down the road.
Yeah.
Did you still have to keep walking the trail? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No one got magically transported as far as I'm aware.
Right. Yep.
So it's interesting that I could say, yes, God has done that in my life. I still have to keep walking.
Yeah.
Man, this one was a short chapter, but it was good.
It's very good. We saw a whole. Well, we learned that Abraham really is obedient. He is
Yes.
very faithful and very
Yes.
loving of God, and will do what is asked of him to do.
Mhm.
Right, even to a point of sending his child and maidservant to survive on their own out in the desert.
Mhm.
And so I think this story to me tells a lot about God,
Yep.
a little bit more about Abraham,
Yep.
and about Hagar.
Yep.
Hagar was in a bad place.
Yep.
But she was able to realize that this was an angel and to keep living.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That tells you something about her too.
Mm-hmm. And how much she loved Ishmael. As she has this child, and she couldn't move on. The child couldn't move on. Something had to happen. But she loved the child and it was too heartbreaking, as any mother could believe, to watch her child just die.
Yeah. And we learned a little bit about Sarah too.
Mm-hmm.
She was willing to give Hagar, her maidservant, to her husband. But there was a point where she's like, no.
No.
I was blessed with a child, and my child is going to get what my child deserves.
Yes.
Right? Good or bad, right or wrong.
Right.
She's just like every other woman would be there.
Yes. A lot of women would have that same reaction.
Absolutely. It is an action that would occur in a fallen world.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the scriptures
maybe in
show
heaven not so much, but in a fallen
maybe
world,
not in heaven. And we see that same thing happen throughout the scriptures in different ways. We have Nephi and his brothers. Maybe their mom didn't have the jealousy and whatnot. However, Nephi's brothers could not accept that he was more righteous. He was more like Abraham. Willing to do the Lord.
he's younger. Because he's younger. He shouldn't be getting that attention.
Mm-hmm. He shouldn't be getting that, because it's the older brothers who get that.
Mm-hmm.
That place of not accepting, and in families, and we see it all over. Esau, we see, like, there are these moments that you're like, Lord, what were you thinking? Why didn't you stop that? Why didn't you step in? That seems like a spot you should have stepped in. And he doesn't. And other places he does step in. I'm like, thy ways are not, that's the best scripture. Thy ways are not my ways, O Lord.
Yep. Absolutely.
But it does tell us about a lot of things. So I love it. All right, Myrna.
I love it. Well, thanks. Thank you all for being here. And hey, if you'd like to hit the like button and subscribe, so we can keep bringing these scriptures to you, and hopefully you're learning yourself, and share what you're learning and communicate with us. We'd love to do that. So thank you so much, and we will be back again next week. But thank you, and remember, Apocryphal rules. Okay, see you later.